Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to unpack what feels like a total crisis in Indian football. It's a story about a stunning collapse, absolute chaos behind the scenes, and, yeah, billions of rupees that seem to have just vanished, leaving everyone asking one simple question: what on earth went wrong?
And you can feel that frustration everywhere. I mean, let's just start with this raw, emotional statement from a fan, because it just perfectly captures how so many people are feeling. This isn't just about losing a few games anymore. This is a feeling that the whole thing is broken, and that hope, well, it's fading, and it's fading fast.
Right now, the situation is just a tangled mess. You've got fans who are all angry together, but they're not even sure who to be angry at. You've got the domestic leagues, like the Indian Super League, facing a future that's completely up in the air with no clear schedule. And then you've got the national team, which has just hit a shocking new low. It really is the perfect storm, and everyone is getting soaked.
So, how do we even begin to untangle all this? Well, let's start where everyone sees it, on the pitch. Because to really get why people are so mad, you have to understand just how dramatic the collapse has been. The whiplash from celebration to humiliation, it's been absolutely staggering.
This timeline really says it all, doesn't it? Just think about it. 2023 felt like a real breakthrough. We won 3 tournaments, there was actual momentum. But then, boom, early 2024, the team crashes out of the Asian Cup without scoring a single goal. And then, the ultimate embarrassment, getting only 1 point out of a possible 6 against Afghanistan, a team ranked way below them in the World Cup qualifiers.
And this slide, well, it gets right to the heart of why they're struggling so much. You see, in the Indian Super League, our top Indian players are playing alongside some really high-quality foreign stars who do a lot of the creative, heavy lifting. But the moment these same guys put on the national team jersey, they're suddenly expected to be the stars, to be the leaders. And without that support system they rely on week in and week out, they just can't seem to do it.
But here's the thing. What's happening on the pitch? That's just a symptom. To find the real disease, we've got to go behind the scenes and look at the chaos inside the administration. Specifically, the All India Football Federation, the AIFF.
And if you want to pinpoint the moment it all really started to unravel, football expert Arunava points to this right here, the FIFA ban back in 2022. He calls it the turning point, the exact moment the system went from being, flawed but at least functional, to a new leadership that just completely lost the plot. And just so we're clear, this FIFA ban was a huge deal. It happened because of a massive governance crisis. Basically, internal power struggles and political meddling had totally paralyzed the federation. FIFA stepping in like that was a giant, international red flag that the house was absolutely not in order. And this just highlights the massive disconnect that was going on. The new leadership came in, and they were talking about these grand long-term plans, like Vision 2047, dreaming about the World Cup decades from now. But while they were doing that, they were failing at the most basic job they had, just keeping the system running, making sure the country's leagues were organized. It's like they were staring at the stars while tripping over their own feet.
But believe it or not, even that administrative chaos isn't the real root cause. To really get it, we have to peel back one final layer. We need to look at the systemic rot that's been festering for years, long before the current guys even took over.
And that rot, it really starts with this number. A staggering 4,000 crore rupees. That's about $500 million US. This is how much money commercial partners have pumped into Indian football over the last decade or so. This was supposed to revolutionize everything.
Which brings us to the one unavoidable question that hangs over everything. With all that money, where's the talent? How is it possible that not a single world-class player has emerged from a country of 1.4 billion people? Why hasn't all that cash translated into actual results on the field?
Well, the answer seems to lie in these 4 fundamental breakdowns. First off, our youth development pipeline is frankly broken. Second, the leagues rely so heavily on foreign players that it actually holds back Indian talent. That then creates this tiny, limited pool of Indian players, which drives their salaries way up and kills their competitive drive. And finally, hanging over all of it is a complete and total lack of accountability, from the very top to the very bottom.
So, after all that, is there any hope? I mean, with the whole system basically in a state of collapse, what's next? What are the potential and maybe even radical solutions being talked about to pull Indian football back from the brink? From what experts are saying, the path forward looks something like this. Number 1, a complete change in leadership at the top to finally bring in some accountability. Number 2, a system-wide reset. We're not talking about patching holes anymore. We're talking about rebuilding the entire thing from the ground up. And number 3, a serious debate about a pretty controversial short-term fix to give the national team an immediate boost. And this slide lays out that controversial idea perfectly. The debate's pretty simple. Right now, only Indian passport holders can play for the national team. The proposed fix is to allow players of Indian origin, people with OCI or PIO cards who are already playing in good leagues overseas, to play for India. The thinking is that this could give us an immediate shot of quality and experience. It's a model that countries like Indonesia have used to get better fast.
But maybe the most crucial takeaway from all of this is this call to action. The message from experts to the fans is really clear. Whatever you do, do not turn your back on the sport. Because boycotting games or tuning out, that just emboldens the very people in power who are causing all the problems. The call is to stay, be critical, ask the tough questions, and put pressure where it's needed to force real, lasting change.
And so that leaves us with this central dilemma. We've seen that just tweaking things around the edges isn't going to work. The system isn't just cracked. It looks like it might be shattered beyond repair. Which leads us to this final, pretty unsettling question. Is a total, painful reset, a complete teardown and rebuild, the only real hope left for Indian football?